Hey there folks, this is Chris from modernprofessional.com and welcome to this episode. I wanted to do an intro about intros for a minute. One of the things that actually really gets on my goat a bit is that I go to listen to a podcast. I may have 15 minutes or so to listen to it, and I spend the first 5 minutes listening to inane chatter and introductory stuff and whatever, and I want to try a new tactic for a little while. I want to just get straight into the actual meaningful content. So far as introductions are concerned, this will be the last longish introduction that I'm going to do for you, and even it's, less than a minute. It's 47-ish seconds or so. So I wanted to say that because I don't want to annoy you, and I know what annoys me a little bit, so let's get straight into it. Today we are talking about the most common complaint I hear about people actually developing an effective marketing strategy in their own practice, and that is this: I don't have the time. It goes something like this. I say, oh, you should consider doing this, 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 and this. And they go, that's great, Chris, but I don't have the time. I am simply too busy. My practice is too busy. I have too much work to do. I've got to go to court. I've got other things to do. And I understand that. I'm busy. Everyone's busy. I've got 3 kids. I'm busy all the time. But you're not actually saying you're too busy. You're saying something else. Saying, but I'm too busy is actually just a symptom of other things. And that's what I wanted to get into today. We're going to have a look at 5 things in particular that the I'm too busy answer actually has underneath it as we drill down a little bit into it. Okay, number 1 of the I'm too busy complaint is this: you are in fact just a slave to the urgent. You have become this participant in dancing from urgent task to urgent task to urgent task, and as a result you're not getting to other things. That is often what I'm too busy means. It means that you have so many things to do that are urgent that you won't make time for things that are important. So even if you accept the importance of developing a digital marketing strategy or embarking on a content marketing program, you don't ever get around to it. And as a consequence, what happens is you actually take no action at all. So you might appreciate that it's mildly important, but it's never urgent enough, because marketing never is. Marketing is never urgent enough for people to go, oh my goodness, if I don't actually get out and do some marketing, then I'm going to die. With one exception, and that is those people who have gone into practice by themselves and their marketing efforts quite literally put food on their table. So you have this comfort zone, don't you, where you're okay without marketing. But the reality is that over time, if you end up in your own practice, or if you get fired, or you hang up your own shingle, or whatever it is, you're going to need to know how to market. You're going to need to know what you're doing. And so if you are a slave to the tyranny of the urgent, what I want to encourage you to do is to look at the bigger picture. Treat this as urgent. Now, the best and simplest way to deal with the tyranny of the urgent is this: find the important thing. In this case, it's digital marketing and content marketing, and put it first in the day. It's that simple. And the reason you do that is because the urgent things will get done, and they'll get done because they're urgent. Whereas the important things simply fall off the back of the truck at some point and stay on the to-do list forever and ever. So if you just put it first, do it first, get it done, whatever it might be on any given day. And we're going to drill down into what things you should be doing, obviously, as part of this series. But for now, do it first. Do something first. If you're building a content marketing program, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, that is better than going, oh, I don't have 5 hours to spend on that right now, so I'm going to put it to one side until never, which is when you're going to get back to it. So don't be a slave to tyranny of the urgent. Problem number 1. That is the symptom behind a lot of people saying, I'm too busy to do that right now. Number 2, and it's connected to the first one a little bit, which is this: you don't actually believe that it works. And this is a big one. A lot of people put content marketing and digital marketing strategies and social media and email and all those sorts of things into the category of, I guess I should do it because, everyone else is. Firstly, everyone else isn't doing it. If they were all doing it already and were doing it properly, then I wouldn't even be bothering making this lesson or any of the lessons that I'm about to do. So don't buy into that necessarily, but you see it, you know it's a thing, and you think, oh, I ought to get into that. Now that's a sign that you haven't actually decided for yourself, you haven't internally accepted and bought in to the proposition that a content marketing strategy could be good for your business or for your legal practice or for your personal brand or for your personal network. And if you haven't bought into it, it falls lower and lower and lower and lower down the urgency and importance list. So even if what I said at the start was right, it might still not be high enough on the importance list for you to do it. You might have other things you consider to be more important. And if that's the case, well, then I hope you'll keep listening anyway. And I hope that over time, what I will show you is that with a dedicated systematic effort, you can make dramatic differences in your practice, and you can actually have a profound impact upon how successful you are, but also you can start to trade outbound marketing for inbound marketing. You can have qualified leads actually coming to you. And that's really what this is about. That's not what we're talking about right at the moment, but it is what we're talking about in the bigger picture. That is what content marketing and digital marketing strategy encompasses. In part, there is always going to be an outbound element, but inbound marketing is by far the most efficient way. And if you can get to the point where qualified leads are coming to you by virtue of the efforts you've put in, then how good would that be? So if you haven't bought in yet, keep listening. If you have bought in, make that obvious in your own plan, in your own system, in your own day. Make it obvious that you have in fact bought into the possibilities that are involved in content marketing and digital marketing. Number 3 might be this. It might be your priorities, and it might be that you are prioritizing things badly. And this is connected with the tyranny of the urgent. It might be that in fact there are some things on your list that you ought not be doing. Now that's a tough gig, and I'm not someone to tell people to stop serving their clients or to stop working hard, but if you tell me that you don't have time for this, you're too busy, then what you're really saying is not that you're too busy. What you're saying is that there are too many things that are higher priorities for you to do. You can see the difference. Because if this got high enough up your priority list, it would get done. And so maybe you need to evaluate what you're currently doing and see whether some of that stuff that you have been foisted with, that you have accumulated, might perhaps not be stuff that should be high on your priority list. Maybe you need to exchange watching every single episode of Game of Thrones or Suits for 10 minutes to half an hour a day on this stuff. Maybe that should be your priority switch. Maybe you need to switch out some of your other activities. Maybe you need to switch out some Facebook time. Maybe you need to switch out some novel reading. Maybe you need to switch out some other things. So don't tell me you're too busy for something if you haven't taken a good look at your priority system and what you are prioritizing. And it's easy to tell what you prioritize. It's the things that you do. The things that you do are the things that you are prioritizing. Now, I'm not saying you need to work 25 hours a day in order to get this done. I'm saying you need to prioritize effectively. And everything that you do, if you tell me you're too busy for this, it means you have made a conscious decision, I hope, that that is more important or that is a higher priority than embarking on content marketing strategies. So think about that one as our next point. The next one is this, and I touched on this really earlier, and that is this, that you don't have an effective content marketing strategy at all, or any kind of digital marketing strategy to operate from. Why is that relevant to you being too busy? Well, the biggest problem that people mostly have so far as generating media is coming up with ideas, and that's why everyone defaults to the update strategy, which of course isn't a strategy. It's wait for something to happen, and then hopefully after 55 people talk about writing an article about it, someone might write an article and it might go through your marketing team and it might get put on social media at some point eventually. That's actually not a content marketing strategy. The reason you are struggling to find things to write about is because you haven't clearly defined your strategy. If you have a well-defined digital marketing strategy, then you will know in advance precisely what it is you're going to do. And therefore you won't have to waste 2.5 hours hunting through the latest cases on LexisNexis in order to actually figure out what it is you ought to be writing about. Instead, you already have made that decision. So, if you have that decision in advance, then you know what you need to do. You can plan out your day. You don't need to hunt stuff down. You don't need to workshop ideas with people. You have already done that. at the strategy stage. And that's something we're going to spend a lot of time on here, is helping you generate a strategy that will make that process easier so that you already know the answers to the questions you want to be addressing. And then it's simply a matter of producing the content. And if you know what you're producing, then half the battle is won, and you will spend a lot less time producing the content than you will if you have to sit down at your desk and go, okay, what am I going to produce today? You'll already know the answer, and that is a huge bonus insofar as how much time you have to invest. And the last one I'm going to deal with today is this. It's a lack of efficiency, and partly that's connected with the strategy question. So you can see all these sort of feed into each other a little bit. It's partly connected with the strategy issue, but it's also this: you're not leveraging your content well enough. And with a clearly defined content strategy, you can take a piece of content and it can feed your audience and keep things coming out for the next week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So many lawyers aren't using their evergreen content because they're only writing updates, and updates have a predetermined lifespan and it's not very long. But if you're writing evergreen content, you can reshare that content at appropriate intervals, because as you build your brand, as you build your network, there are people who won't have seen it before. And so why aren't you reusing these articles? I see law firms with 500 or more articles on their website that never get dug up from their archives, ever. And partly that's because no one has ever gone through and identified what's the evergreen content, and so they don't know what to share. And partly it's because no one wants to do that, because it's a terrible job, because no one did it in the first place. And partly it's because most of that content is not evergreen. Again, a true content marketing strategy will give you efficiency and leverage that you can utilize. And it's not just about evergreen content, it's about repurposing your content as well. Not in a spammy way, but you can take one piece of content and share it on multiple platforms in multiple different ways that are appropriate to that platform, and the different things that are appropriate on different platforms for different audiences, for different engagement. Then you can start producing huge amounts of content with far less effort. Why do you think this is a video? This is a video and it's a podcast, and it will become an article, and if there's some good quotes in it, then I'll put some good quotes in it. And then I might put in some 30 to 59-second videos that I can put on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. And then I might embed something in a LinkedIn post. And this is from one article. I didn't need to think about what I was going to say today. I already knew what I was going to say, because this was next in my digital marketing strategy at a modern professional. This was next. I know what comes after this too, and I know what comes after that. That's why I can tell you with certainty that we are going to deal with, in the future, how to refine your content marketing strategy so that you don't have to actually spend tons of time idea generating. You'll have already done it. I know that because I know what I'm going to talk about in that particular field. I know what I'm going to talk about when I explain to you how to repurpose content effectively and how to deal with native platforms. I know what I'm going to talk about already when I'm going to talk about social media and engagement via email. These things are already in my content marketing strategy. It's not because I've pre-written everything. I haven't developed all the content yet, and I'm not reading from a script anyway. But I know the arc that this is going to take. I know the flow that it's going to take. It's like having a table of contents. When you write a book, have a table of contents first, and the rest of the book starts to fall into place because you already know the story that you're going to tell and the journey you're going to take people on. That's how an effective content marketing strategy works, and that's how you can be efficient and useful with your time. So if you are one of the people who has told yourself or convinced yourself that you don't have the time to do an effective digital marketing strategy or to embark on content marketing truly, then I really want you to take stock of some of these things. Maybe some of them sounded a lot like how you experience your day, and maybe you need to think about how you're going to make some changes, either in your attitude or your practice, that are going to allow you to make more time. And if you're waiting for those gems of content marketing strategy that are going to help you to be more efficient, then that's coming up next. That's all for now. I'll see you later.